Welcome to a new episode of Plots We Have at Home, where we come up with the most unhinged story prompts this side of the Atlantic and let ChatGPT do the hard work and make sense of it.
Or not. We read the stories out loud and it's always the first time for both of us hearing them, so you get our unfiltered reactions.
I'm Danny.
And I'm John.
And let's dive right into our first story of today.
Where we sit down at the campfire and hear our Bonfire Stories. Our first story of today: Horror in the Forest.
That's a decent title, actually.
As the crackling bonfire cast eerie shadows among the trees, Dr. Derek Shepard, Jin Kwan, and Jason Gideon huddled around it, their faces bathed in flickering light. The fog rolled in thick, enveloping the forest like a shroud, adding an extra layer of mystery to their camping adventure. Jin, with his distinctive accent, thank you so much for, leaned forward, his dark eyes glistening mischievously in the firelight. I have a story, he said.
What kind of accent? He's Australian?
I'm not gonna do an Asian accent on this show.
Then just don't do any accent at all, please. Don't do an Australian accent of the Korean. Oh.
I'm not gonna. No, sorry, I can't.
It's okay.
Not gonna get us cancelled in episode 17. I have a story, he said, his voice low and ominous. A tale from my homeland. It's about a creature that prowls these very woods.
Okay, apparently they are in Korea.
Or maybe the Koreans tell themselves stories about other forests. You don't know.
I would have guessed that they'd be in Washington State.
Derek chuckled, tossing another log onto the flames. Oh, come on, Jin. You're not going to scare us with some old folk tale, are you? But Jin ignored Derek's skepticism, his voice dropping to a whisper as he began his tale. Legend has it that deep within these forests there roams a being neither fully human nor fully animal. It preys upon unsuspecting hikers, dragging them into its cave to feast on their flesh. Gideon raised an eyebrow, a smirk playing on his lips. Sounds like something out of a horror movie, Jin. Are we supposed to be afraid? Jin shrugged, a glint of mischief in his eyes. Perhaps you should be, he replied cryptically. Just then, a distant rustling broke the silence, causing Derek to sit up straighter, his eyes scanning the darkness beyond the reach of the firelight. What was that? He asked, his voice tinged with unease. Gideon shook his head, dismissing Derek's concerns. Probably just a raccoon or something. Nothing to worry about. But Derek was convinced. No, but Derek wasn't convinced. Ignoring their protest, he rose to his feet and strode into the darkness, disappearing into the fog-shrouded trees. Minutes passed, but Derek did not return. Jin and Gideon exchanged worried glances, the crackling of the fire the only sound breaking the silence of the forest. We should go look for him, Jin said, his voice tight with concern. Gideon nodded, his expression grim. Agreed. Something doesn't feel right. They hurriedly packed up their belongings, the fog swirling around them like tendrils of smoke. They made their They hurriedly packed their belongings, the fog swirling around them like tendrils of smoke as they made their way back through the dense forest. But as they pressed forward, the fog thickened, swallowing them whole until they could barely see their own hands in front of their faces. Panic rising in their chests, they called out for Derek, their voices lost in the swirling mist. And then, just like that, Jin vanished into the fog, leaving Gideon along with the darkness. Heart pounding, Gideon stumbled forward, the forest closing in around him like a nightmare come to life. His breath came in ragged gasps as he fought to keep moving forward, the sound of his own footsteps echoing in the eerie silence. But just as he reached the edge of the forest, a shadow loomed before him, blocking his path. Gideon's blood ran cold as he looked up to see a towering figure emerge from the fog. It was Nicolas Cage, a monstrous centaur with razor-sharp teeth and eyes that glinted with hunger. Before Gideon could react, Nicolas Cage lunged forward, his massive hooves striking him down with brutal force. Darkness consumed Gideon as he tumbled into unconsciousness. The last thing he saw, the bones and personal items of his companions scattered across the cave floor. And in that moment, he knew that they were not alone in the forest. They were being hunted, and there was no escape from the horrors that lurked in the shadows. Wowee! Great stuff, great stuff. Okay, I definitely didn't see that one coming. That's for sure. I love just... Why is he a centaur? I have to ask that.
Okay,
Why?
Okay, there actually is a reason for that.
I'm very excited to know the reason.
And this is the point for me to give a shout out to John Guarnieri, who's has this thing with centaurs and with Nicolas Cage, and I just thought, why not merge these two together?
Okay.
And since Spear Talk Podcast has been following us on Instagram and being very supportive, I thought I could use that and just give a little shout out. Also, I just love the
mental image is
and
fucking...
I mean, the forest thing with centaurs, like a Harry Potter Forbidden Forest, and it all kind of came together. I'm just actually gonna check if I ever mentioned the fucking fog in this prompt, because the fog was like a fourth character in this. Yeah,
it was. I thought, for the whole story, I thought it would turn into the smoke monster from Lost.
Oh, that was
That's kind of what I saw coming, and I also don't know Dr. Derek Shepherd from Grey's Anatomy, I guess.
Oh, that's kind of
which
sad.
I just saw that he's from Grey's Anatomy in the prompt. So I was very confused. I was like, huh?
I mean, I mentioned that there's fog and they get separated in the fog, but I didn't intend it to be that prominent in the story, I guess.
Well, I guess it worked its way into it. No, I mean, love it. I also haven't thought about Mr. Gideon from Criminal Minds in a while, and I think that was a great moment to insert him into our extended universe, to have him sit in the forest camping with fucking Jin and Dr. Derek Shepherd.
I mean, I gotta say, first of all these Gideon and Derek both are very outdoorsy people. Like Derek Shepherd lives in a camping van for the first season or something. Yeah, I know that. Apparently you don't have that. At some point I was just like, I should have mentioned his hair just to make it funny, because it's this whole thing with his hair and he's McDreamy and everything. Never mind.
Okay.
So I wanted outdoorsy people because I wanted them to have this camping situation, and then I just immediately, when you said Bonfire Stories as a premise, I thought of the scene in Lost where Jin is telling this horror story in Korean. Nobody fucking understands, at the bonfire with the flashlight under his face. Nobody understands a fucking word, but then he does a jump scare situation in the end and everyone's like, Whoa!
Beautiful.
So I thought he has to tell a horror story. And then I thought, we haven't done any horror-ish
No,
thing.
that's true. We had a haunted house episode, but that really
wasn't very
that
much
scary.
horror. No, not at all.
No, I love it. I also love that you definitely got to misguide me, because I didn't see the monster coming. I was like, okay, this is gonna be
basically what he's talking about in the beginning, and then they're like, oh, blah blah blah, this horror story thingy, and then it's actually true.
True. Yeah, I thought about it for a second, and then I got very distracted by the tendrils of the fog that made me immediately think of the smoke monster from Lost, and it was like, okay, this is a false lead, and they get swallowed up by the woods themselves, and then it's just fucking Nicolas Cage, centaur, who eats them.
Yes.
And who already has eaten his two companions in the time that he got lost and stumbled upon him. So he's also very hungry.
Yeah, it's just funny that we talked about the Until Dawn thingy and the whole Wendigo eating people thing, and then I thought maybe because I wrote that before I even stumbled across that, but then I thought it kind of sounds like that if you just put it like this, and then maybe he's gonna be misguided by that idea, but you weren't, because we only talked about it for a minute.
Yes.
I have to say though, I was very disappointed by the very end, by the final ending of the story. Also because it didn't make any fucking sense. He was So the centaur came and grabbed him and took him to the cave where he sees like these personal items, like just like the evidence of them being dead.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and it ends with, and in that moment he knew that they were not alone in the forest. I mean, he knew that the moment that the fucking centaur appeared, that is first of all like wrong. And they were being hunted. No, he was caught. There was no hunting going on anymore. Like they were hunted without them knowing it, obviously. But yeah, it's just like, I mean, I thought that like if you'd like
just skip the very last paragraph,
that it would have been a better ending. It wasn't like,
I mean, yeah,
it probably was hard for
to be
ChatGPT
fair.
to do
I was too just distracted and encapsulate that. How do you say it? Enchanted by the mental image of Nicolas Cage mounted on the body of a horse, pretty much, with sharp teeth, like trampling the bones of his dead victims, and looking at him with hunger in his eyes. And my mind did all the work on this one.
Also, let's face it, that's very much a movie that Nicolas Cage would make.
Yeah, I mean, I would fucking love if he did that. Yeah. Please.
But yeah.
No, I love it. I definitely didn't see the end coming, and I like the cast of characters just generally. For once, it's just like 3 humans just doing human things, not even like, I don't know, fucking too fucking out there, and then it just turns at the end where you don't expect it anymore, and I adore that. No, I give it like a, I don't know, like a 7.5, 8?
Yeah, I mean, it was...
Maybe if the end was better, it would be an 8?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just that, first of all, it was very coherent. I was very happy about that. Like, it made sense, and it followed the like, an actual story where you could follow it. I didn't expect it to be, like, very horror-esque or, like, actually creepy, and it wasn't, because I think that's not what ChatGPT does. I mean, it can be very explicit at points. I mean, you didn't even need to be explicit. It could have been just. I
think you have to tell it explicitly to do a horror story, and then it.
I said ended on a horror note. That's like literally what I said in the.
I mean, that is what it did. Also, I would say like.
But leave the details to the imagination of the readers.
Yeah, it's like all like the story in of itself is very. The story structure is very horror story-esque, and before Gideon could react. His massive hooves striking him down with brutal force, darkness consuming him, and all that.
Yeah, no, it was fine.
Very
like,
much
I was like,
the horror note that you asked for, I think.
I know, but then it ended with this like weird ChatGPT has to do a roundup at the end of the story.
Yeah, it can't just have it be like.
And I mean, I just wanted to be like, I didn't want it to be like telling us that he's obviously eating Gideon now, but like maybe he escapes. We don't know. Because also he's very smart. Like maybe he profiles the centaur. I have no fucking idea.
He just like psychologically defeats him, and he is
just like he did with the hiking path killer.
Exactly,
like,
and then just centaur Cage offs himself somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, but I was actually generally happy with it. I guess.
No, I also liked it very much, and I'm now very excited for the Nicolas Cage centaur movie that we all want to see eventually. So
definitely.
I'm gonna maybe add the trailer to that at the end of this episode. If I have some time.
Alrighty. Are you ready for the second bonfire story of today? Which is called Eerie Campfire Banter. Also, the title didn't give away too much. I like that.
Nice of it today. Doesn't want to spoil us.
The crackling flames cast eerie shadows around the campfire, the woods alive with mysterious whispers. How do you pronounce him? Jaskier strummed his lute, the melancholic notes dancing with the flickering light. The unlikely group of companions sat in a circle, faces illuminated by the warm glow. Jaskier glanced at Miraculix. Wonderful. Who was deep in thought, stirring a potion in a cauldron over the fire. Jaskier smirking. So, Miraculix, any new magical concoctions to share with the class? Miraculix looking up. Ah, Jaskia. Always interested in the mysteries of the world, aren't you? But no, just a simple brew to enhance our senses in these dark woods. Alice, smirking. Dark woods? You have no idea what real darkness is, my friends. Allow me to share a tale from the future. Kate, raising an eyebrow. The future? Seriously? Alice, nodding. Yes, and in the future, there are creatures far more terrifying than any of you can imagine. Vampires, werewolves, and glittering vampires. Jasky, intrigued. Glittering vampires? Sounds like a party! Alice, smirking. You won't be saying that when they're sparkling their way to your neck. Out. Oh. Ajax, impatient. Enough of this nonsense. Let's talk about real heroics. Battles fought with honor. Kate, rolling her eyes. Ajax, not everything is about brawn. Some of us prefer brains and solving mysteries. Ajax, grumbling. Mysteries? I solve mysteries with my sword! You do be like that. Alex. Kate sarcastically. Ah, the classic brute force approach. Very subtle. Jasky interjecting. Speaking of subtlety, I once wrote a song about a love affair between a sorceress and a dwarf. Now that's an unexpected twist. Miraculix chuckling. Ah, the wonders of the creative mind. I appreciate the beauty of your tales, Jasky. Alice leaning in. But can any of you truly comprehend the fear of the unknown future? I've seen things that would make your blood run cold. Jasky mockingly. Oh, do tell, Alice. What spine-chilling horrors await us in the future? But she said that before. Alice whispering. I see a world where humans are their own monsters. A relentless pursuit of power leading to the downfall of civilizations. Okay. The atmosphere grew tense as Alice's words hung in the air. The crackling of the fire seemed to mimic the heartbeat of uncertainty. Jaskia breaking the silence with a strum. Well, my friends, perhaps it's time for a different tune. One that brings us together in this moment, in these haunted woods. Something to remind us that no matter how scary the future may be, we face it together. Oh, that's so ChatGPT.
You know it.
As Jaskia played, the group felt a strange camaraderie. A bond formed in the midst of spooky stories and playful banter. The fire's glow flickered, casting a warmth that transcended the chilling tales, and the unlikely companions found solace in each other's company in the heart of the eerie forest. Okay.
Well.
Okay. Fucking funny, actually.
Right? This one actually had me like, whoa, it's over already?
Yeah, I was like, okay, but like, I mean, I guess it's just like more like a slice of life kind of thing, where they're in the forest together for whatever reason, we don't know. Like very short story-esque, like we jump into the story immediately and we leave it like that also. So we don't have any like, how did they get there? Why are they there? How did they meet? Because apparently they're unlikely combination of people. Also, I've never read the word camaraderie as often as in any ChatGPT story ever.
ChatGPT's favorite word.
I guess so. I love the mix of the characters. Jasky is from The Witcher.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. He's the bard who's.
Yeah, I know. Like, I have a picture of him in my mind. I don't know his character, but I guess he's like a classic bard.
I think he's actually pretty on point.
I felt like that was like the classic bard kind of thing going on.
He's like very like bantery, like trying to get to people.
Yeah.
But at the bottom of it, he's a very genuine dude who's also interested in the world around him. So.
Yeah. No, and then we have. I mean. First of all, like, obviously this time we don't have any, like, this is the person of this and that, so I just assume it's Kate Austen from Lost.
No.
Who is she?
It's Kate Beckett from Castle, actually.
They're so weirdly similar.
Sort of, yes.
Okay, that is weird, because I never would refer to her as Kate. I mean, I guess why ChatGPT does that, but she's just referred to as Beckett.
Yeah, I don't know what went on there, but yes.
That's okay, cool. I just had a completely different
That's-
picture in mind.
That's why the solving mysteries part is in there, I guess. But yeah.
Okay, I guess, yeah,
she's
but like,
more of a brain over brawn kind of
I
person.
mean, yes, but like, that would also be true for Kate Austen. I just didn't see that. But I love it. Okay. Is this like Alice in Wonderland, Alice?
No, it's Alice Cullen from Twilight Alice, of course. That's why she can see the future and talks about glittering vampires. Which I also might want to add, I didn't say a word about in the prompt. She also did the whole glittering vampire thing all on her
That's
own.
actually even better because she's just like, let me just sprinkle this in here. Okay,
And
wow.
then
This is just really, I just had like a completely different setup in mind while reading the story. I was like, this is Alice in Wonderland. Like, she has this like really weird thingies where she's like, you haven't seen real darkness, my friends. Like, I've been in the rabbit hole, okay, people? I could totally see that. And I was like, oh no, it's not her.
And then I also love that her like end game scariest feature she can come up with is basically just capitalism and people doing their own downfall.
Just
like after talking about
politics.
werewolves and all shit, and there's just like, yeah, people will turn on themselves. And everybody's just like, crickets.
Ajax like, but let's talk about the sword and battle, and that was
Battle and honor.
Ajax was like just the best fucking comic relief you could put in a fucking,
Perfect.
just like this much brain. Like, oh my god, so good, so good. That was like the funniest part actually, and just Miraculous like stirring his potion and just being like, kids these days. It's just like literally.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that was like, I was completely wrong reading this. Like, also my impression's completely off, but then still on point, which does make it interesting to think about the comparison of the different Kates and Alices that we have here.
Definitely. Yes.
I never would have thought of Alice Cullen like that. She's just like not there for me.
I mean, I guess I could like go on with my or talk about
talk
my
about
prompt,
your prompt, please.
because I wanted to have them also kind of sort of ignored what I wanted from them too, but it still turned out great.
Okay, cool.
I wanted to have them all like sitting around the campfire and like trying to outdo each other with like heroic stories and boasting about like the battles they fought and all that.
Okay.
And then I needed one character that can see into the future to do like a twist on it and be like, oh no, my story plays in like 30 years. Stuff like that. To like really scare them at the end with the actual future coming up.
And they're all like, we don't take you seriously at all.
Yeah, that's how it turned out, I guess.
I mean, but I think that's a fair reaction. Most people wouldn't. Unless you really know that this person can actually see in into the future.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of open-ended, but yeah. No, I just wanted to have them like banter with each other and just I love the dynamic
that's
that
exactly
happened.
what happened. Yeah, the dynamics were great. Like I loved it. And it was, as I said, like this slice of life kind of thing where it's like no real plot, but they just like telling things. But then as they didn't all tell stories or this didn't come through, it was a little like wanky at some points where I was like, what is this, like just is someone telling a story and everyone else is reacting? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
But it didn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I guess the prompt would have ended up in something too long for ChatGPT if all of them told a story first, and I wanted to have, I don't know, like Jesky interrupt the stories with like cynical remarks and all that kind of stuff, and that would have taken too much too much writing, I guess, for ChatGPT to do it in like one sitting.
That's fine, but I like that it then decided to rather elaborate on the things and not just rush through. Yeah. Everyone's telling a story and that's pretty much it. So
it did the better of the two options to have the banter in the foreground and not just have everybody do like a four.
I also like that Miraculix is not even trying to tell a story because I feel that is very much on character for him, that he's not like the one.
Yeah, he's
just
the
like
listening type.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, tell me a story, kid. I'll just mix my potion here
and give us supernatural powers in the dark.
I don't know, is it like heightening the senses? It sounds like he's cooking some drugs there, but like whatever.
He always does.
I mean, actually does, yeah. Or just tea, like he does in the...
With the Brits.
With the Brits,
yes.
Yeah. And I'm just still like so fucking fascinated by me totally misinterpreting the characters. And it still fucking worked for me. It's like, which really makes it interesting to think about the comparison between Kate Beckett and Kate Austen. They're not that similar actually, but they have like some elements to them. And I mean, it only had like a little snippet. So
yeah, I think they have like a similar social person.
They have this like pragmatic approach to things where they also like both badass women.
Sort of blunt, but in a smart way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not as blunt as Ajax.
Ajax just gold. I solved my mysteries with a sword. Sure thing you do. That's why you fucking unalived yourself in the end, my friend.
Yes, he solved his own mystery with his sword.
Or just be like, you sure about that, Ajax? Let's make a riddle game. How did that work for you, Ajax? Oh my god.
One mystery he couldn't solve, the battle of wits.
Once we didn't have a battle of wits. Also, hey, that hasn't been going on for a while.
That's true. I think we maybe just got too good at directing ChatGPT away from that.
That's true. I remember there were so many stories where ended up having a battle of wits.
Maybe we should do like an episode where our prompts are only allowed to be like a certain number of words or sentences.
Sentences is whack because then you just keep the sentence going and going and going.
Like, I don't know, like you can only use 30 words to get a story out of it, and we see where it goes.
That would be so funny. You see, we're planning specials for you guys.
Stay tuned.
I would give it a 7 out of 10, I think.
Okay.
Or maybe like an 8. Because it was fun. I think I would have liked like a little more, like, especially the end was a little abrupt.
Yeah, that's like the only thing that leaves you wanting more of.
Yeah, I was like, okay, but this is like fun. Give me like a little more of this, or at least like give me like a decent ending. And I don't do the camaraderie thing. Like, I know that ChatGPT loves doing that, but we get that they're like a group, like, or at least like maybe tell me how they got there, like why, like at least tell me like did they just coincidentally meet up there because this is like a camping space and they are all just strangers, or are they like a group that has for whatever reason the same goal to I don't know.
I think
is this like a D&D group? I also thought that you were doing like a D&D kind of situation.
I'm keeping that in my back pocket for one day. But no, it's basically just like a camping trip between pals. That's kind of how I imagined it.
It sounded more like they were on a mission and then they had to rest and then they...
It's like the scene plays out during a camping trip. The group sits around the fire, like daring each other to tell scary stories. That's also why I was a little sad about the ending, because my ending was pretty good. They were all like mocking each other and laughing about each other's stories, and then Alice just pulls out this like blood-curdling real story from the future, and everybody's just like, oh fuck, this shit is actually fucked.
Yep.
And everybody's just fucking scared to their pants. But yeah.
Yeah, let's give it like an 8 out of 10. I think that's
very
fair.
fine with the result.
No, it was funny.
Came out.
It was funny. I cannot get over Ajax.
Maybe someday we do the Ajax special, where every character has to be Ajax.
And I know that where every hero has to be called what? What do we call them always? The Viking dudes in Age of Mythology.
Oh, Hersa.
Yeah, but I think it was like Kurt or something. They all had like weird. There's this one weird name.
Yeah, from the one guy that survived all of the wars as the.
And he had like survivor. All of them had like super difficult names, and his was like Kurt or something.
Yeah, I think it was like Karl or something.
Yeah,
like
possible.
Yeah.
Or just your pharaoh was called Larry. This is my favorite thing in the world that can happen in Age of Mythology. We're drifting off topic. It's time to end this.
Yes. That's it. Our 2 stories for today. Thank you so much for listening.
And if you don't have friends to share bonfire stories with, we got you, because we always have more plot at home.